leadership feels unquestionable, or the founder doesn't listen to the rest of the management, that's not culture, that's a cult. And you're just blindly following the trauma, the cure naivety. So whatever you're doing, be smart, or else you'll learn the hard way. You might need that trauma, cure your naivety. But I'm here to help you prevent that. So be sure to take tips. If you are not the kind that can play good politics, you'll be left behind. And sometimes that's not a team you want to belong to, where credit is not given when credit is due. Think of an exit plan. Don't kill your dreams, your ambition, because they pay well. Money is good, sure, but that's by the way. To find a way to strike a good amount of balance there and not being burnt out. I believe that you should work more on yourself than you work on your job. So your weekends should be devoted to you growing. Welcome back, creatives. So today I'm going to be showing us how to navigate the tech world with a little bit more clarity, curiosity, and confidence. We'll be diving into something that doesn't get talked about often enough. How to spot toxic teams before you even join them. Tech is a broad space and there are scams everywhere in and out of tech, through the use of tech and a lot of other things. But you also need to know how to spot toxic teams before you join them. That scam of a job before you actually apply for it. So whether it's a flashy startup or an established tech firm, there are warning signs. And if you're not watching closely, you might just walk right into a job that drains you instead of growing you. I have a list, but I'd like to start with a story. So, a year back on Twitter, I was reading through one of the tech enthusiasts, his post. He's a developer, and then he got scammed by one man. And here's the story, just paraphrasing. I don't remember details because it's over a year now. I read the story, and the man reached out to him on Twitter saying, I've been going through your work. I love it. You've been consistent. I want us to work together. Could you create something for me? I think it was a pilot. And he was like, okay. He fell for the first scam and okay, no problem. He checked the man online. He looked legit, appeared legit. There were articles about him and everything just seemed like, oh, this is right. And so he did the first job. The man ghosted for about 6 months and then came back later and started discussing. And he was like, I want us to do something big, a big project. He kept feeling something off. But each time he checked the man online, searched about him, he looked legit. He was breathing in and out luxury, you understand? He had businesses everywhere. He just looked so legit. And he thought to himself, why not? This is big. And we all want to make it big in tech, so why not? And they discussed. He even signed a contract with the man. That's how willing he was. So it didn't look like something should be suspicious. And so they went into the project, and months in fact, the way he explained it, they were conversing every day. The discussion, they were being friendly with each other. You're on call with him, Google Meet, and he's explaining a few things to you about business, and you're just like, that's deep, kind of thing. And it happened for months, I think about 2 months, and it was around the time where they were rounding up the project. Money was supposed to come in. They already agreed on payment terms, and the man kept saying he would use Bill.com to pay because that's what his company uses. And the developer, the person who tweeted this, was like, let's use crypto so that I can get my money, every week. I've forgotten how the payment system was, but the man said no, only at the end of the month. That's how it works with the company. We can't do otherwise. We can make an exception and the rest. And he was like, no problem, since that's it. I'm trying to be fast with the story, just paraphrasing basically. And so this went on for a while, but they kept communicating. And then something happened. The man said his father died and he's mourning. So his communication reduced for about 3 weeks. But, he didn't want to seem insensitive and then be asking for funds. But before then, he had already gathered the developers and paid them a huge amount of money to begin the project out of his own pocket, hoping that once the money comes in, he is reimbursed and he can do other things with the remaining funds. But then, as fate would have it, I think, where it got even more suspicious was when the man started insisting that he moved the project to his host for him to test it. So according to him, he wanted to see the internal structure of the project and stuff like that, all the grammar and everything. But the developer refused and was like, you need to pay. And then the scammer began to call him names, like really terrible names. He was using the F word and MF word and a lot of things to insult him. And that was when he clicked back and was like, let me check this man over again. And then he did a deeper search and found out that he was a scammer and people had written about him, but it wasn't really online everywhere. His articles about how rich he was still flying better than the ones people wrote. So now he already lost money. He was even requesting that, okay, just reimburse me, I spent a lot on this, just reimburse me. But that didn't happen, and a lot of other things. That's just one story of how a developer got scammed. Like, in the streets, anybody can be scammed. So let's think about the world of tech as street. You have to be street smart, you have to be conscious, and you have to be cautious. So that's just one story, and that's even far from home because I only followed this guy on Twitter. Kind of an inspiration. I love how consistent he used to be. I'm not sure very much anymore because I'm not very consistent on Twitter myself right now. But there's also one close to home. Maybe when I get into the list, I would explain that particular one. So I have a list here, and some of it are backed by real Reddit stories because I went through them. Sometimes I enjoy this. It's terrible experiences. It's sad, but it just kind of gives you OT. So I'm going to be listing a few from different segments. So the first one is going to be red flags during the hiring process. You can spot a terrible company just by their job post. Personal experience, I saw a job post and I was like, ooh, I match. Excellent. It's a product manager role, I think. And then their compulsory requirement was you have to be a first class student. And I was like, wow. Okay. I laughed. I sent it to a mentor. We laughed. And then I just exited that job post and that was it. It's good to graduate with first class, but that should not be a mandatory criteria for a skill. That aside. So red flags during hiring process that you want to be aware of. Number 1, unpaid assignments. Oh my God. A lot of people have fallen into this trap whereby they give you assessments, assignments, and then it's like you're building an entire project before you even get the job. Don't fall for that. If they ask you for large projects or trial work for free, run. You're being used for free labor. Designers usually fall into this trap whereby they ask them to design up to 15 screens for assessment and then export and send. A lot of people have been scammed this way and you don't want to do that. So that's one red flag. You don't want to put yourself in that position. You'd have wasted time, effort, and probably money if you're buying for and other things. Another thing you want to check out for is unrealistic experience requirements. Oh my God. That 5 years experience in a tool that has only existed for 1 year, that's not ambition. It's just incompetence. You don't want to put yourself in a situation like that. When you see unrealistic experience requirements, it's unnecessary. In fact, saying that first class is mandatory for a skill-based kind of role is just unnecessary also. Now I'm pissed I didn't graduate with first class, but that's not the point. Number 3, never-ending interviews. So I have worked as an HR before, and I can tell you for a fact that I know the people that will get hired from the first interview. Second interview is probably for formalities, just to allow their team or the team they'll be entering into get acquainted and then, decide if they want this person on their team or not. But if you're having up to 6 interviews, you've done 3 assignments, and there's still no offer, this is a red flag. And unfortunately, you might have wasted so many resources already. Another thing you want to look out for in hiring process or job posting is vague job description. They'll write things like fast-paced, or you must wear many hats, or rockstar developer. Literally, the translation is you'll do many things and everything with no clarity or support. And you don't want to put yourself in that situation. I spoke about being burnt out digitally, but you can also get burnt out doing too many things at once and calling it work. That's not where you want to be. Something else you want to look out for is AI-only interviews, when no human talks to you until the very end, if at all. It shows how little they value culture and communication, and it would affect workflow when you get into the company. So you do not want to put yourself in a position like that just because the money looks good. You also need to consider your growth, your peace of mind, and your mental health. Very important. So now, those are red flags in hiring person. What about red flags in company culture? I have a few here and I find them funny. I've seen them and I read stories on them and they're like, oh my god, no. But I totally agree. So number 1 here is founder worship. If the leadership feels unquestionable or the founder doesn't listen to the rest of the management, that's not culture, that's a cult. And you're just blindly following whatever he says. You don't want to be there. Trust me, it will mess with your mental health. You don't want to be in a place like that. Another thing is high turnover rates. So here, you want to do a little bit of digging. And that's why I like that you ask questions before you get into a company. Ask people that are working there, people that have worked there. Just ask, be friends, have a community of techies like yourself so that word can get round fast to you. So if the company has high turnover, it's probably not a place for you to be. Do a little digging. If people don't stay, there's a reason, and you don't want to find out. You just want to walk out. Another thing is being burnt out being a badge of honor. That's disguising late night work and weekend work as passion. More like if we grind hard, it's part of the identity. So is burnout. Is burnout also part of the identity? You don't want to be there. I'm not all about life-work balance, because at one point in our lives as young people, we need to work more than probably having a life. But we also need to find a way to strike a good amount of balance there and not being burnt out. I believe that you should work more on yourself than you work on your job. So your weekends should be devoted to you, growing, doing things with family, engaging in that hobby, not being burnt out. So learn how to ask the right questions during the interview process, and then know what to watch for when in the company. Now, you might be in the company and you're thinking to yourself, they pay well, but it's not just sitting right with me that I should be here. Now is your time to begin to think of an exit plan. Don't kill your dreams, your ambition, because they pay well. Money is good, sure, but that's by the way. Another thing you want to look out for in the company is no process or documentation. Now, this is a terrible, terrible, terrible flaw. The company that screams, we move fast, and there's nothing that's organized about the moving fast. Or, once I get an idea, I just get it done. Now, that's good, but if you're working in a company, you need proper organization, and that includes proper documentation. The we move fast usually means we are disorganized and, blame others when things break, and you do not want to be caught in such. So now, those are red flags in company culture. What about red flags in team dynamics? So there are a few in team dynamics. See that senior dev, if he treats the junior devs like dirt or gatekeep knowledge, that team won't work, it won't grow, and neither will you. And I don't think you want to be caught in such, because for you to grow properly, you need to be on your best mentally. It is very fundamental and very important. And if you have a senior that nitpicks, that gatekeep, and that treats the juniors like trash, you do not want to be. But everybody likes to choose their hard life, so you get to choose that. Another thing is abusive code reviews. Feedbacks should be constructive, not like a power trip. It shouldn't be insulting. It shouldn't be like nothing, and you shouldn't be in a place that makes you question your wealth of experience. Rather, you should be in a place that pushes you to learn better. It's different. It's the manner of approach and delivery matters. So you need constructive criticism, not insultive ones. Another thing is back challenging. You see, those small politics they play in teams. If you are not the kind that can play good politics, you'll be left behind. And sometimes that's not a team you want to belong to, where credit is not given when credit is due, and people are, forming cliques and forming teams behind teams. It would always happen, but if it's too obvious and then it's affecting work growth, you might not want to be in such a team. So you're better off staying out entirely. Another thing you have to look out for in a team is gaslighting. Oh my God. Some people are so good at this. If people invalidate your concerns or make you second guess yourself, just try to believe your guts, right? And I can tell you that I have people who have gone through a lot of this. I've seen it happen. I've been in an environment where this has played out. Let me tell another story of a mentor. He was working on a certain project, and each time it was time to get paid, he was literally gaslighted. The man kept saying his payment application or what he uses for the payment processes are not working, and then he would try to hire junior devs who would take over the code base and, fire the other person. But what did he do? What did my mentor do? He decided that I will not be working on this project for the while. So he got owed up to 3-4 months, I think. And he finally left the company. Then months later, after leaving, he found out that he wasn't the only victim. The man has told close to 10 people the same story after working several months, that payments cannot be made because he's waiting for a process to be completed, and this and that and this and that. And it was serious because the numbers kept going up. That's the number of people he had scammed in such a manner that have done free work and yet never got paid. And then he kept targeting junior developers and interns because you want to learn on the job, and you just get used and get dumped eventually. The moment you begin to catch on what he's doing, he will dump you. There are ways to identify this, and that's why you need a connection of people that are in your sphere. You want to ask techies, how far? What's their culture here? How does he work? Is the founder a good person, or he just smiles online? You want to know those little things, because in the place of looking for money, you also need peace of mind to be able to grow and pursue the things that really matter to you. These red flags aren't just theoretical, right? They come from real people who got burned. Don't let that be you. My mentor would still say, "Na trauma, they cure naivety." So whatever you're doing, be smart, or else you'll learn the hard way. You might need that trauma, cure your naivety. But I'm here to help you prevent that. So be sure to take your time to vet the company as much as they vet you, because they check you out too. Ask smart questions, watch how they treat your time, and always trust your gut. If something feels off, it probably is. Check. Thank you for listening. If you've ever encountered any red flag like this, or something I didn't mention, or something that nobody's actually talking about, I'd love to hear your story. Drop a message for me in the comments section. Until next time, stay sharp. Remember, na trauma dey cure naivety, but you fit escape that trauma. Stay safe out there in tech. Bye.